account setup.
Thanks. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, hopefully you can see my browser. This is in our demo environment. And today we will review how to set up a deposit account first. And then by popular demand, we will also review how to fill out a works upload spreadsheet. So for today's walkthrough, I did create a brand new account for us. So I'm going to go through login.gov first. And of course, it's going to ask me for my two-factor code. Give me a second here. And as we may have mentioned in the first walkthrough that we've done in the series, if this is the first time you have ever logged into the system, you're presented with a first-time user experience screen, and the screen only appears when you log in for the very first time. And it asks for your information just to establish who you are. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. It's going to be Sue Stanley, who's one of our many demo users. All right, and at the bottom here, you have the option to hit next to add an organization, or hit done if you don't need to add an organization. For deposit accounts, you will need to be part of an organization. So before you hit the next button to add information about your organization, there's two questions that you really should ask yourself at this point, not just yourself or your colleagues. The first one is, did someone else set up an organization in the system for our company already? If so, you don't need to hit next. At this point, all you need to do is hit done, and then reach out to your colleagues, and then have them invite you to that existing organization. Who knows, they may already have a deposit account set up and funded as part of that organization. So that's the first question. The second question to ask is, do I need to set up an organization because no one else has done it yet? And if your answer is yes, then you'll need to create one to add deposit accounts. And you can do so by hitting next here, or you can hit done and then add an organization manually at a later point, just in case you needed time to find out from your colleagues if a pre-existing organization exists within the system already. For this walkthrough, let's go through the scenario that I just need to check with my colleagues to see if I set up an organization already. So here I am. As soon as I've finished through the first time user experience, it takes me to the contact information. So while I'm doing this, I've confirmed with my colleagues that I have no organizations set up in my company, and I actually need to go ahead and create one. So if I look at my deposit accounts right now, notice how it tells you have not created an organization. In fact, create new account is completely grayed out. So let's go ahead and create that organization. So this organization is going to be called Recordation Demo Organization. Very original there. Put in our location. Put in some test credentials here. And a phone number. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save the information details for my organization. And then I should be able to create a deposit account. All right, so usually when you come here, you would have a list of deposit accounts if you created them, but since I have not created anything, I'm directed to go ahead and create an account. First thing I need to do is to give this deposit account a name. And this is a nickname for you to help select this particular account when you use it in the future. Some organizations, they have multiple deposit accounts. It's just how does your organization like to set this up? Each deposit account gets its own statement. So it really depends on how your organization organizes their data, organizes their funds. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a name called DA Demo Account Number 1. And then the system asks you if you want to add funds to your account. Now, why do we ask this question? For the most part, if you have the ability to fund it, go ahead and click Confirm Add Funds. You're probably wondering, why did you even stop me here? But we do have remitters, we do have users who do not have the authorization to do this, or they have to have someone with purchase authority to come replenish an account. They don't have access to a company credit card to actually fund their account. So if you fall into this category, you would have to stop here, because you would need to invite someone with that purchase authority to come into the system so they can complete the next few steps. But if you are one of those lucky folks who have purchase authority within your company, you have that company credit card that you can use, go ahead and swipe. We'll go ahead and hit Confirm Add Funds. So here, we're going to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and add 10,000 here. All right, before I do this, let me cancel out of here. I do want to show you that right now, even when I have no funds, the status of my account is inactive. And that's because you don't have any money in this account. And typically, this is a step where you would have to wait for the Copyright Office staff to go into your account and make sure that it's activated once you have money in there. And there's kind of like that coordination with the Copyright Office staff and just getting your account to be active. One of the things that we have done is that we have automated this flow entirely in the pilot system. So this process is entirely self-service. So let's go back and try to add those funds again. I'll add $10,000 in here. And at this point, it's going to take us to pay.gov, which is a third-party site that we use to make payments, to collect payments to our system. All right, so here, I just want to take a minute here and talk about these two options that pay.gov presents to you. When we say that our system is self-service in activating our deposit account, it will activate only after the funds have completely cleared and settled from pay.gov. And I use the word settle from pay.gov because we do have to wait for us to actually get the funds before we allow you to use them. If you use the credit card option, the debit or credit card option, it is pretty quick. However, if you use this ACH option, this bank option, it can take up to a week before funds are cleared and settled. So you might not see those funds added to your deposit account until much later. So for the sake of this demo, since we want to see these funds fairly quickly, I'm going to select the credit card option here. So we have a test user. So this is our dummy credit card here, just for testing purposes. So yes, I authorize this card to be charged. All right. And here we go. We have $10,000 in our deposit account, and it is now active because we have collected that money from pay.gov. They gave us the go ahead to use it, and therefore it's active. Now, if you go through the submission wizard, and when you get to that pay and submit tab, you will see the DA demo account number 1 be available for you to use. All right, so let's take a look at the other scenario I mentioned where I have to have someone else come into my organization just to replenish my deposit account. So here I would need to go into delegates. And let me go ahead and invite someone because right now I am Recordation demo number 3, user number 3. So I need to invite someone into my organization. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I did want to take a minute right here to look at this notification. This is a piece of user feedback that we did, that we received very early on in the pilot. Sometimes we don't have a person who has credit card authority. You have to submit an expense report for these one-off replenishments. We do give you a notification that allows, oops, went to the wrong one. Let me see my notifications here. It gives you a notification that tells you a brief summary and the confirmation ID and the payment date. So you can submit this as proof for your expense report if you needed to get a, if you need to get a reimbursement for that DA replenishment. All right. Apologies for that rabbit hole here. All right, so let's go ahead and invite our user in. All right. So I just sent an invitation to one of my other accounts, and I'll show you what that looks like. In case you guys can't see it, it says you have been invited on behalf of Sue Stanley to use the United States Copyright Recordation Pilot System on behalf of the Recordation Demo Organization. So let me log out of here. So I am going to go ahead and use this link to log in. All right, so this is my DA replenisher here. And if I go into my organization tab, you'll see that I have been invited into Recordation Demo Organization. If I look at the delegates, I can see that I am grouped now with user number 3, and I am user number 4 here. And I can also see the deposit account that user number 3 had set up. What I can't do is I can't create a new account. So what I am going to do in the background here is I am going to go ahead and create an inactive deposit account, create a new deposit account using remitter number 3. I'll be doing this in the background, so you might not see anything here. All right, so I went ahead and created a second deposit account right here, number 91, and it's inactive and it has 0 balance. So right now, I am just the DA replenisher here. I am going to go in and hit manage. And I am going to go ahead and add in $2,000 to this deposit account. Again, going through pay.gov, using the credit card option. And voila. So now I have DA demo account number 1 with the $10,000 that I had user number 3 replenish. And in the second scenario where I had to invite someone else to come in and do the replenishment, I have DA deposit account number 2, the demo account number 2 with the $2,000 that I just added. So that is pretty much it for setting up deposit accounts. One of the other questions that we've gotten, let me go back to my user number 3 here. One of the other questions that we've gotten is, how do we fill out a works upload spreadsheet? So let me go back to user number 3 here. And I am going to go ahead and start a new application. And this will take me through the submission wizard. So the first step is, am I recording a document of transfer under section 205? Yes, I am. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start application. We've done a lot of this walkthrough of the submission wizard in our first set of items. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly so we can get to the work spreadsheet. So the first one that I'm going to start off with is an English document, since majority of the documents that we do get come through are in the English language. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. This is an important question because this determines which version of the works upload spreadsheet that we give you. If you select yes for English, we'll give you the English version. If you say no to English, then we'll give you the non-English version of the works upload spreadsheet. So we'll go ahead and hit confirm here. We'll go ahead and make all the necessary certifications here. And this will take me to the Works tab. All right, so for Works, you have 2 different ways of uploading your indexing information. You can add Works manually, or we can upload Works. For this walkthrough, we're going to be uploading Works. And we just want to remind you guys that you can only do 10,000 works at this time, up to 10,000 works at this time. And this link is what you want to use at all times. Now, we do make minor updates and patches, so we do encourage you to use this link whenever you're downloading the spreadsheet. It will always give you the latest and greatest version. So I'll go ahead and download this. And then I will open up the spreadsheet. All right, so this is what the spreadsheet looks like when you open it up. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for everyone to read. I'm not going to go through every single text here. If you are curious as to what this says, please go through the submission wizard, download it, and then you can read the instructions step by step. But basically, we have 3 tabs here available for you, 2 of which are locked. You can't make edits to. The first locked tab is the instructions tab. This tells you all the different steps that you need to do, along with the description of every single field that we're asking for. This is essentially your help area. Not only do we tell you what we're asking for, we also give you examples of what what that type of information might look like within your document. I, for one, am a visual learner. So in the second tab that we have locked here, I like examples, and that appeals to my visual learning aspect. So here we have an example of what a completed spreadsheet might look like. And last but not least is a tab that's not locked. This is the area for you to work in. We do ask that you don't make any updates to the first two rows because that is part of the header of the file. If you try to make any updates on this, it will fail on the upload. Starting from row 3, you can fill this out however you like. You can certainly type things in. You can copy and paste things in. It is entirely up to you. And the way that we fill this out is we just start with the first work that we have. So let's say we started off with the matrix. It will ask for all of this information. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You can just leave it blank. So I happen to have the registration number for the matrix from 1999, which is PA 000988310, and that was registered in 1999. And then you'll see that this row is grayed out. If you have additional information, you don't put it into this row, you would have to put it into the next row. So for example, if I started with, in my second work, let's say I did Talladega Nights. And I don't have an SR registration number for that. Maybe it's not listed in my document, but I did have some types of work for it. So let's call it motion picture here. And let's say that in my document, they provided a alternate title. This title was formerly known as something else. So I can select FKA. Now notice I didn't put it into the same line. It is grayed out. So you would just put it into the next line down. You would say FKA, Untitled Will Ferrell NASCAR Project 2006. And if you have more information to add, you just keep going into the next line. And as long as you are putting it after the primary title of work here, everything after row 4 will automatically be associated with row 4 for Talladega Nights when it's imported into the system. So what might that look like? So let's add another work here. Maybe we do, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Let me make this row a little bit bigger, a little bit wider. SR 000230896. This was in 1997. Sound recording. And let's say that this was from The Lion King. The type of larger work is album. All right, so let's say that we have an author name that we want to add. Elton John, pseudonymous. All right, so this author name, because it appears after Can You Feel the Love Tonight, will be associated with this title upon import. Let's give it another author name. There's 2 authors. So we'll say Tim is author number 2. Perhaps there's an ISSN number that's associated with the sound recording. We can type that in. Again, as long as it appears after this row, it will all be associated with this title. So I can even add a few more things here. Maybe we have an additional registration number for this. Let's see, 2308912. And the list goes on. You can add as many as you like. Everything that we have for additional data types is listed in this dropdown. So feel free to select it. If you have more authors that you want to add, you can go ahead and do that. Maybe you have some AKAs, you have some PKAs, maybe you have some translations. You can go ahead and add this. Sometimes you might have other standard identifiers. So you might have ISBN numbers, EIDR numbers, ISNI numbers, control numbers. So we do have a long list of standard identifiers that you can associate with the title of your work. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then let us go back to our submission wizard. All right, so I am going to go ahead and upload that file that we just completed. And I'm going to hit upload works. And here we go. So we have the matrix, which I added a registration number. We had Talladega Nights, where I put in that motion picture, and we also said it was formerly known as Untitled Will Ferrell NASCAR Project. And then we have Can You Feel the Love Tonight? And it has all of the information that we added as part of the works spreadsheet. Now, in an ideal situation, this is you upload something, you complete something, and it's going to go in here. But what happens if you have an error or if you made a mistake? We do have some basic data checks as part of the upload process. So I am going to go back to that spreadsheet, and I'm just going to add a few extra digits in that registration number. And let's see what it does. So I'm going to go ahead and upload the work. And this is a bad, let me make sure I selected the bad one. So if there are some basic data checks that do not pass, we do give you an error that says why you didn't pass, what the issue was, where the issue took place, and maybe some ideas on how you can remedy that, remedy the issue and how you can resolve it. So here it's saying that B6, row 6, column 2, has an invalid registration number. It must be 12 characters long, followed by a 1 to 3 letter prefix. If you have a shorter registration number, please pad in the zeros between the prefix and the numbers. And it gives you an example. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet that I intentionally made an error on. You can see here, B6, I added a ton of extra digits here. So I would have to go back and fix it, and then I would need to re-upload it. And then the system will take the spreadsheet and turn it into those works cards that you saw earlier. Now that I fixed the issue and re-imported it, it's back to the 3 titles that I had before. So this is what it is, the generic workflow for uploading works using that title spreadsheet. I did want to show you the non-English version. I have the template downloaded already. Let me go ahead and open that. And I will also make this a little bit bigger so we can read it a little bit better. So if you saw the earlier spreadsheet, this is very similar, but there are a lot more columns for you to fill out. And that's mostly because when you upload or when you put in a non-English document, we have requirements that ask about translations and transliterations, specifically for the indexing information. So that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure you have the right spreadsheet. If you try to use an English upload work spreadsheet for a non-English document, it will not work. So I am going to go ahead and fill this out. Very similar to the other one, there is the instructions tab. There are some examples here. And I have a couple items here that we can go ahead and use. Now you can, unlike the current system, you can put in any language. It doesn't have to have Roman characters in it. So here I will start off with, let's start off with this Greek title. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it. And the translation of this is The Lion King. And then I will go ahead and add in some other languages here as AKAs, also known as. So this is the Japanese title for The Lion King. This is the Chinese title for The Lion King. I think I have a Spanish version here as well. And we do take these accent marks. I have a Norwegian version as well. And just to show some more non-Roman characters, I also have a Korean version of this. All right. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then we are going to go back to our system. And I'm going to start a new application and make sure I choose a non-English version this time. I'll have to say, no, this document is not in English. As part of that, I have to provide a translation of the document. Go ahead and make these certifications pretty quickly so we can get to the Works tab. And I'll go ahead and upload my works. And notice this download link says download the non-English language multi-work upload spreadsheet. So it is different from the other workflow that I showed you earlier. I am going to go ahead and grab the non-English completed one that I just did. Upload those works. And here you have it. That's the work. We have that in Greek, Japanese, Chinese, Spanish. I believe this one was Norwegian and Korean.